Hi, my name is Nicole Daniels, and I'm a nursing student at Indiana State University. This health education program will be on Alzheimer's disease and caregiver stress. The population that we are targeting today will be the caregivers that are taking care of patients living with Alzheimer's disease. The objectives for today are that the caregiver will be able to recognize the different stages of dementia, be able to list factors that can affect caregiver stress, identify ways to decrease the burden of caregiving for caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease, and to utilize caregiver resources to improve quality of life for themselves and their loved one. Before we begin the presentation, I want you to please reference below the attached links for the pre/post test and the handout that corresponds with the information that will be covered in today's presentation. Please take the time to take the test before the presentation and then again after to test your knowledge. So to begin, let's go over what Alzheimer's disease is. The Alzheimer's Association defines Alzheimer's disease as a progressive disease affecting memory, thinking, and behavior. And it's characterized by a gradual onset, and it progresses through different stages. And as the stages progress, function worsens in cognition and in motor skills. So if you are taking care of somebody living with Alzheimer's, they might fall already into one of these stages. The early stage is an important stage. It's where you want to identify that they have Alzheimer's and yet have it diagnosed, and also to begin treatment. Now, treatment for Alzheimer's is not curative. There's no cure for the Alzheimer's disease. However, treatment can help to slow the progression of cognitive symptoms. So the symptoms that might be exhibited in stage one, the early stage, is going to be forgetfulness, like losing their keys, forgetting where they put their, where they set down their book, not quite aware of their surroundings. Anything that's new in their surroundings might be different and they might not recall it. Problems learning any new information. Also, they might start having problems with the concept of time. Eventually, this will trickle into the middle stage where they start having more difficulty with daily care activities such as dressing or hygiene. And they might also start to exhibit some decreased socialization because maybe they're feeling apprehensive about going around others when they're having trouble with their hygiene or their forgetfulness. And also, they might start having an increase in behaviors such as aggressive behaviors and paranoid thoughts. The middle stage can be a very stressful time for caregivers. And then finally, the advanced and late stages, which is also a very stressful time because now the person is totally dependent on the caregiver for all of their care needs. And also they might be unable to recognize family or their self at this stage as well. So who are caregivers? A caregiver could be a spouse, a child, or multiple children, a relative, a neighbor, or a close friend. But the most important part of a caregiver is that they not only care for the person with the illness, but they're also the person that is going to provide the physical, social, emotional, and spiritual support even to that person. And as the disease progresses to the different stages, many caregivers become very overwhelmed as they experience this gradual decline of their loved one. And they see that the daily physical, mental, and emotional impact that is in being responsible for the care of this person, it falls on all of their shoulders. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. Factors that enhance stress on a caregiver. And a study that I reviewed by Coca and Bakar, some of the factors that affect caregiver stress include loneliness, feelings of depression, unexpected behavior changes in their loved one, but also lack of knowledge about the disease and what to expect as the disease progresses. Stress adversely affects health. And the study that I was just referring to by Coca and some other researchers, they were looking at the stress level of caregivers, and they measured cortisol levels in caregivers. Cortisol is a hormone that's excreted in everybody's body, but it has been linked to stress and chronic stress. What was interesting about this study is that they found that caregivers themselves had a significantly higher level of cortisol than other persons that are not caregivers. So that correlated stress with caregivers. And then another study that I reviewed, stress leads to adverse health outcomes such as depression and anxiety. And studies have correlated the diagnosis of depression and anxiety in caregivers within just 1 year of a loved one's diagnosis. So stress does adversely impact your health as a caregiver. So first of all, you need to know you are not alone. In 2014, the World Alzheimer Report showed that globally there were 47 million patients living with dementia, of which 60 to 70% of that number are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. That number is only projected to rise 3 times that amount by the year 2050. That's led the World Health Organization to name dementia as a public health priority. So you are not alone. And there are things that you can do to reduce your stress and burden. First, increase your Alzheimer's disease knowledge and awareness. And we're going to provide you some resources today on how you can do that. Talk with others about your experiences. You can do that in a support group, but also just even with your family or friends that might be experiencing the same burden. Learn about the community resources around you that can give you that much needed time out, such as adult daycares or activity programs. Contact your local Alzheimer's Association representative. They also will have a ton of resources available to you as well. Having self-awareness of your own psychologic needs and your own self-care is important. And finally, make sure to educate yourself on how you can provide daily care and get into a routine that works for you and your loved one. So some of the resources that are available out there that you can easily access from home, you've got the Alzheimer's Association caregiving resource at the attached link, the National Institute of Health, National Institute on Aging caregiving resources at the NIH website below. Also, the Alzheimer's Association offers both online and in-person support groups. So if you go to the attached link of their events page, you'll be able to locate both your in-person support groups, which here in Calvert County, we have an Alzheimer's group that meets on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. at the Prince Frederick Library. And then finally, your local Office on Aging, the Social Worker and Ombudsman Program, great resource for support. And they will connect you with resources for your loved one and also be able to explain to you some of the other programs that you might be eligible for within the community that you might not even know exist. All right, so hopefully after today, you were able to learn about how important it is that stress of a caregiver is cared for. You have to take care of yourself before you can care for anybody else. And hopefully now with the resources you've been provided, you'll be able to utilize those so that your stress and burden will be reduced. Before you go, make sure you check your knowledge with the post test to see how you did today and what knowledge you've taken away with you.